Hello, this is Lisa Niver from Said Go Travel, and I'm so honored to be here today with a Mallika Chopra. And she often gets introduced as the daughter of spiritual guru Deepak Chopra, which is true. But today we're going to talk to her about being an author and being an inspiration during COVID. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I imagine it must be busy at your house with all of your books and being a mom and running Chopra Web. So, what has been your main focus during these crazy, uncertain COVID times?
So, honestly, my main focus has been trying to keep my family in order. So, my husband, who normally travels nonstop, has been home since March. And that, of course, has been, let's say, finding a new balance. Um,
That
my
was very politically correct. I like that.
Yes.
Finding a balance.
And then I have two daughters, one who is 18 and was a senior last spring. So missed out on all of the senior traditions and graduation, and then didn't make it to college. So, it's a big, she'll be going in January, but it's a obviously emotional time. And then my 16-year-old who's in 10th grade has been doing Zoom school. Like here in LA, nobody ended up going back to school. So there's a lot of transition, emotion, patience, frustration, family bonding time, which I think many are experiencing. So that really has been my main focus. But I think what I'm lucky and feel very grateful to be able to do is share very honestly experiences I'm going through, or share tools that I've learned over a lifetime that can help during these kind of unprecedented times.
I agree with you. It is so unprecedented. And I'm sorry your daughter missed out on graduation. My nephew also is the same age and missed graduation. And that's challenging. And I think you mentioned your husband. I think it's also a very exciting anniversary year for you.
Oh my God, yes. So we actually, our anniversary will be 24 years this December. And it's crazy how time flies by. We can't even, the other day, my mom called and she's like, oh my God, I just remembered your anniversary's coming up. And it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but when you think about like the numbers, it's kind of incredible.
I actually kind of thought you were 25 years.
No, 25 is next year.
Oh,
So
no.
I turn next summer, I will turn 50, and it will be our 25th year. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on both. I did a big project before I turned 50. I did 50 crazy challenges before I turned 50. So I hope
Um,
it'll be an exciting year for you. And lucky for you, it's 2021.
yes, exactly.
So I know you mentioned that it's been a challenging time, and I really appreciated in your September newsletter how honest you were. I know September for all of us, with when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and coming into the election that was so uncertain and long before we thought there might be a vaccine. Can you share maybe some of, I know you've been meditating your whole life, but what were some of the things that did help you kind of stop with the unhealthy choices and move back into your preferred choices?
Yeah, so I think we all started kind of our various forms of change in lifestyle in March, probably March, April, and didn't think that it was going to go so long. And then all the emotional stuff of my daughter and no graduation and all that. And I think what happens, it happened to me, I think it happens to many people, is, we start to fall into the habits of, okay, I'll have a drink every night, turns into like one or two every night, to, okay, I can't go to the gym anymore. So my husband and I would go for walks in the neighborhood, and I tried to do yoga, but then that stopped. And then just kind of getting into deep holes of like habits that normally I'd be more disciplined with. And I think in September, I just reached that breaking point where I was like, I am I can't do this anymore. And I think I made the mistake of weighing myself and seeing like, oh my God, what has happened in the last few months? Like we started going back to like Duncan Hines cake with frosting. I mean, it was just the excuse of, this lifestyle, this quarantine lifestyle led to a lot of habits. And what I realized, it was both my habits, how I was feeling physically, and of course, um, all of that coming from like this emotional stress, anxiety. I'm someone who gets obsessed with politics, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying. There were just too many things. And so I wrote this very honest newsletter. And I have to say, within 1 hour of sending that out, I think I had 200 people who had responded to me, just
Wow.
saying, oh my God, I am going through this too. And just thank you for sharing that. And I think that so many of us have been struggling. And so what I realized is, like, for me, it takes real discipline, focus, and intention to change those habits. So, I just decided, okay, I'm going to stop my drinks, because that's something that, again, it became a habit without even thinking about it. And so I could stop it. Um, Started doing some more intermittent fasting, committing to yoga, being outside. We're lucky because I live in LA, so can really go outside and be in the sun and feel the warmth. And then also just focusing more on, I'm always very focused on my kids, but that also was the time when Zoom school was starting, and just the sadness, to be honest, of seeing my 10th grader, being on Zoom, my nephew who's in 7th grade starting a new school, and like kind of, not even being able to meet someone. And then I'm constantly in touch with teachers and parent groups, and it's been really hard for our kids. So I think September was just like that time of overwhelm, but then a real commitment personally to connect with people, to move, to eat better, to shift certain habits.
I did really appreciate when I read that, how honest you were. And I'm not surprised so many people reached back out, because I do think we are all feeling that way. And I think that really is a great place to start talking about the amazing books you've created for children that, I mean, you were concerned about how they were feeling stressed before COVID. And
Yes.
so, can you tell everyone who might not be familiar with your Just Be series about maybe how the books came about or how you got started?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm so excited and feel honored. So I have these three books: Just Breathe, Just Feel, and then next year comes out Just Be You.
Hold them all up together for 1 second. There's
Oh yeah, we're calling them, it's the Just Be series.
they're beautiful.
Thank you. And the first two are out. So Just Breathe and Just Feel are out. Now,
And I bet they make a great holiday gift.
yes, I think so. I think people really, what I'm finding is, several years ago, as I started, I did my master's in clinical psychology at Teachers College, which is really focused on teachers and education. And what we're seeing in classrooms, and this is like 3, 4, 5 years ago, is the levels of anxiety for children is really high.
Mhm.
And there's this whole trend in social emotional learning. But what I realized is that simple tools like breathing, like figuring out how to connect with self, to set intentions, for kids, how to sense their body, and where they're kind of physically feeling feelings. They're really simple techniques. So I got this opportunity to write these how-to books for children. And the first one, Just Breathe, is really focused on breathing, meditation, mindfulness, movement. The second one, Just Feel, is really appropriate for what it turned out we were going through this year, which is, the overwhelming feelings that of sadness and anger and frustration. And how do we process those? How do we feel them in our body? How do we accept them? Because the range of feelings is completely normal and natural. And I think it's really important for children to recognize that, and to
Absolutely.
also recognize that they come in waves. So these two books, I think, were timely, but what they offer is ancient wisdom and traditions that have lasted centuries in cultures around the world. So, it's been really nice to be able to share these techniques, which I learned when I was 9. So, when I was 9, I learned how to meditate. And so I'm 49 now. So, I have 4 decades of practice, irregular practice, which I talk about in my adult book, Living with Intent. But there are tools that we can find in our toolkit. We keep kind of adding to that toolkit that can help us through hard times, but also the joyful times. And the exercises of gratitude and kindness and intention and celebrating the joyful moments in our lives.
I think they're beautiful books. The illustrations are beautiful. And I especially liked, I'm not sure now which book it was in, but it was talking about it's okay to ask for help, or it's always good to ask for help.
Yeah. And so this is what's interesting is as these books have been out in the world, I'm finding that it's not just kids, but parents, teachers, mentors, anyone, because they're simple tools, and something like asking for help, especially as often I think as women who are taking care of multi generations and trying to work and find some sort of balance. Often we're just trying to do things by ourselves. So just giving people permission to ask for help. But one of the things that I've found through these books is that it's often the kids that are now giving tips to their parents.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it's so
Great.
yeah, it's so nice to kind of be almost flipping it around. And my kids always say to me, "Mom, just breathe," like you know. But I am hearing that more and more from adults who are saying, "Oh my God, my kids are telling me, just take a moment and pause, stop, ask for help if you need to." So we all need to be reminded of that.
I love reverse mentoring. I think that's amazing that the kids are being able to use those phrases to help themselves, but also to help the whole family. Because I was actually going to ask you, are you finding that maybe teenagers, young adults, college students are like, oh, it's not been quite long enough that the books are out, but I would think a college student would be like, oh my gosh, I'm taking that book with me.
Yeah, I hope that becomes the case. And again, my kids themselves are 16 and 18, and I speak a lot in high schools. And similarly, the levels of anxiety for teenagers, sadly, mental illness in that older kind of teen, low 20s age group. Um, is skyrocketing. I think with COVID, it's skyrocketing even more. And sad to say, with suicide,
Mhm.
that's on the rise. So these are techniques, and yet again, it's hard.
So
It's
hard.
hard, and I think we need to recognize what people are going through. Um, Recognize that it's normal and it's natural to go through that, and that we're all going through different phases of that. It's important to reach out to others for help, but even reach out to others to check in and make sure people are okay. Um, and I also think when I grew up, when I was 9, my dad was considered the witch doctor who was selling snake oil. He was attacked for decades. It's really only in the last 10 years or so that meditation, mindfulness, yoga, these practices have become more mainstream. That there's been more research, which seems to validate. Again, these are ancient wisdom traditions which have lasted thousands of years, but for some reason, when someone does a study on it, it's accepted. And so, which is wonderful because I think that has allowed these practices to really seep into mainstream living now. So what I am finding is that teenagers, college students, they're yearning tools and techniques to help them survive. So if we can start introducing them at a young age, then they have those tools through that very rocky period, which continues in life. We all know life is full of ups and downs. So we have to figure out the best way to manage the stress. And I think mindfulness tools where we can be aware of, situations and observe them and connect with body and breath, they help us for a lifetime.
I completely agree. Life is a lot of ups and downs, and it feels like this COVID last 9 or 10 months has, many more valleys than we anticipated. But I like what you're saying about teaching them when they're younger. And I think your upcoming book is for even younger kids. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm involved. Well, one, I have a book called My Body as a Rainbow,
Uh-huh.
which again is going to be so beautifully illustrated. I feel very lucky with my publishing company. They found these artists. And, for me, the number one criteria was that they were warm and loving, but also diverse in terms of the pictures there. So my body is a rainbow is full of color and kids from all different backgrounds, and that will be for younger kids. So more that picture book, 3 to 6 type of range. And I'm really excited about that. And then I've recently got involved with a show called Stillwater that Apple TV Plus is releasing, which is based on the books Zen Shorts by John Muth, which are like classics. I mean, my kids were a little bit older maybe when they came out, but they're on the top of my list when I'm gifting books, and they just teach great mindfulness lessons through this panda bear Stillwater. And the show is so beautiful that's come out. So I feel like it is an interesting time now where more of these techniques and concepts are accepted in a mainstream way. And if we can share them through different modes, whether that's, the books, I have some meditations for kids and adults on the different meditation apps, or something like Stillwater, which is just this magical show. It's an interesting time for this type of content, and I hope it lasts.
I saw for Stillwater, you're the mindfulness consultant.
I know it's such a unique and lovely term, I guess to say. So they reached out to me because they have this incredible show. And it was actually through Teachers College, through another alumni, through the master's that I did. And I think that the show is beautiful because what it does is it teaches these techniques, but in the storytelling narrative, fun way.
Oh,
But as you're watching the show, you feel really, it's almost like you slow down and you take a deep breath. And so I've been involved just to kind of promote awareness of it. But I have to say, when I watched it, it was like almost blissful and so peaceful at the same time because of the way that it's made. Just it's a beautiful show. And also that, I do a lot of how-to stuff,
yeah.
but this is narrative, like it's through storytelling. And that's, I think, how kids are going to really, learn these techniques in all the different ways. So it's great.
Well, congratulations. I have so many different pieces. And now your dad and your brother got them and you restarted or shifted the Chopra Well. Are you?
Yes, that was, several years ago. The Chopra Well was creating, YouTube was creating premiere channels.
Uh-huh.
And so we launched a pretty big channel called the Chopra Well, which still exists, which is full of actually different kind of shows. More recently, it has transitioned more to my dad doing a lot of videos. So like with everything, and this is what I say, I have an adult book, Living with Intent, but the subtitle is My Somewhat Messy Journey to Purpose, Peace, and Joy. And as a serial entrepreneur, I've had many ventures, and you're always adjusting and shifting and changing. And I think that's part of the lesson that I'm just trying to share with kids and adults, is that, it's okay to have ups and downs, to have to readjust, whether that's, physically, emotionally, in your work, in your practice, in your habits, whatever it may be. We're always tinkering and figuring it out, and giving ourselves that kind of freedom, um, to be flexible, to recognize that the possibilities ahead can be infinite versus being stuck on a path, and feeling trapped by some of the things that you're doing. So I think that's one of, and the YouTube channel is a great example of that, which is, it keeps changing and adjusting, but it's a great platform to have.
You have so many things going on. So if people, I know you mentioned that you speak with schools, and I'm not sure if you're also doing a virtual book tour, but if people want to have you come to their school or their book club or their parent group, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yes, so I have a website, mallikachopra.com. It's super easy, and I'm on all the social media under Mallika Chopra. And so there are links to speaking or PR. I do a lot with companies as well. And it's so interesting this year. Zoom, we all have Zoom fatigue.
Yes.
And so, what I'm finding is that it's fascinating actually, because I'm used to going and speaking to hundreds of people, and you can see how they react, and it's a back and forth. The Zoom thing, especially when you're speaking, sometimes you're just speaking to your computer for like 20-30 minutes, and you literally have no idea how
You're
they're reacting.
landing. Yeah.
But I'm finding even with the Zoom fatigue, sometimes people just need that space,
Mm.
um, to take a few breaths, to do a meditation practice. And it's interesting. Like, I think some of that will continue, in terms of being able to reach people in different parts of the world. I know my dad, it's amazing because he used to travel so much, but now he's reaching so many people through his computer and his phone. It's amazing.
That's true. Some people have been able to use this um, different time. I heard someone call it the great pause recently, that this different time to shift. And you're right. For someone like you might reach more people. You could speak to 3 book groups on 3 continents and never get on the plane.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic. And I don't know, like, I think one of the things that COVID has made me realize, and I think the world realize, is that life is uncertain. We always say that,
Yes.
but this year we really have all experienced it. Like, we really don't know what's going to happen in a month. It's really been a time where, we're so grateful now with the vaccine coming, and some sense of normalcy, but that's going to take a while. So, even in terms of planning my daughter's move to college, it's like, I don't even know if it's still going to happen. And so, we really have to kind of accept that life is uncertain.
That's true. I feel like we could just talk all day, but before I let you go, would you pick, I don't know if you have I won't ask you to pick your favorite book because I'm sure you love them all, but will you just open one book and read a page to us? And
Oh, sure.
the
So
illustrations are so beautiful.
oh, thank you. And I'll show you some of them. So in Just Breathe, which is the first one, there's like a nice collage in that of some of our family photos. Let me find a short uh, passage here, because what I'm trying to do is, yeah, I'll just read from the introduction. So, when we introduce concepts like this to children, we have to keep it really simple.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to do in Just Breathe, and then continue in the books, is like, have kids connect with what I call the safe, happy, quiet place, and that we discover inside. And so all of these techniques are about connecting to soul, to our physical body, or to our environment. So the way that Just Breathe starts the introduction says, do you have a place where you feel safe, happy, and quiet? Perhaps it's a physical space, somewhere in your home, a hidden corner that no one else knows about, or a place outside where you can run, twirl, and laugh without any worries. Perhaps it's not a physical space, but instead is the time you spend with a friend, a sibling, or parent. Maybe it's those moments you chat with your sister before you both fall asleep, or when you throw a baseball with a friend and the time flies by. Or perhaps it is when you are by yourself, reading, drawing, or daydreaming about nothing in particular. Moments when your mind and body feel rested, when you're not thinking about the past or worried about the future. Maybe you're thinking that you don't have that place in your life and you're wondering if you even need it. Research shows that when you find that quiet place, your body and brain are healthier, you feel more in control, and you are happier. And for many people, being able to feel that peace inside of themselves helps them worry less and deal better with tough situations. So, the intent of this book, Just Breathe, is to help you find an anchor inside yourself that is safe, happy, and quiet, and to help you tap into it and find it whenever you need it. And so, the book is just full of great illustrations, and really the way the exercises are written is I don't know if you can see that, but
Perfect.
they're one page exercises. They're written, there's no kind of like narrative as such. It's really, this is how you do it. And so it's a great tool for teachers, for parents, etc. as well.
Yeah, I saw that on Amazon. Your books are a teacher's pick, which is such a great honor.
I know how, I mean, the biggest honor, right? So I'm so grateful for that.
I think it's such a great series. Congratulations on all your success and the upcoming books. And I definitely am going to be buying some of those books as my holiday gifts. And I think everybody needs an usher out 2020 gift. And this is kind of the perfect thing. Like you said, a lot of the exercises say, you don't need anything. You only need 2 minutes. I like the one when it said, you need a quiet place to sit, maybe your bed. Like, I
Yes.
feel like it's very clear. And I know they're written for children, but there's a lot of adults I know, maybe they've regressed a little, maybe they're always that way, but I think it would help such a wide range of people.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and again, I'm just, thank you so much for the conversation, but I feel so grateful that, I'm able to share, these amazing tools that I've was given as a child myself. So I know, I grew up with these tools. I've taught them to my kids and of course now to many kids in classrooms, and it does help. So
It does help. So I want everybody to know, please get Mallika's books. They're wonderful. And I say to you, I hope that the end of the year goes well. Namaste.
thank
And
you.
it was so wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye.